Hello everyone and welcome to another video by Liminal Spaces Talks Music. And today we're going to be talking about Pink Floyd, specifically a record store release that I think was in February. They released a BBC session from September 30th of 1971. And Pink Floyd is so hard to talk about because they have so many different eras and everybody loves a different era of Pink Floyd. I personally love the era from like 69 to 71 the most. And I particularly think that they shined the most in that era through their live shows, not through their studio albums as much, although there are some great recordings from studio albums from that time. So it was very hard for me to try to pick what my favorite Pink Floyd album would be. And then I saw that this was released for Record Store Day. I don't know if it was in 2023 or 2024. Let me check that. Yeah, it was released Record Store Day 2024. Pink Floyd live at the BBC, September 30th, 1971. And this was released on February 12th, 2024 for Record Store Day. And I saw that had come out, and that was absolutely perfect because, to me, this encompasses one of the best recordings of a band that sounded incredible live at this time. And it features songs that are new or so reworked that you won't really recognize them at all. This is, in my opinion, a kind of a lost early 70s, late 60s record by Pink Floyd, and that's to me what makes it so incredible. And it only existed as a bootleg for many, many years until Pink Floyd released this insane box set, this heavy, insane box set called The Early Years. And this was such an interesting box set because it was, I think, Floyd's way of just trying to stop the bootleg market of their early stuff by just releasing everything. And of course, a lot of people were very angry about what wasn't included in here, but I'm not really going to get into all that. It's just the first time that this release saw light of day, and then for Record Store Day this year, it saw release again. I do not know, I can't find out if the Record Store record was remastered again after it was on the Early Years box set, but one thing that I've found is that the official release on the Early Years box set is, in my opinion, not the best quality version of it. That comes from a bootleg that I absolutely loved that was a later rebroadcast of the show that you can find actually here on YouTube. And it's got the picture of the Floyd looking up with the grass behind him, and they've doubled it so that they're looking at each other. I'll put a picture of it here. You can find this on YouTube if you just put in Pink Floyd live at the BBC, September 30th, 1971. I think it's like the third choice, and to me that's the best sounding copy. So if you go listen to a copy of this, that's the one you should listen to. So within the Early Years box set, it's on the 1971 disc Reverberation. I'm not sure if they eventually released these CDs separately because I grabbed the big box set as insanely overpriced as it was. I was able to do it for myself for Christmas that year, which was nice. I'm glad to have it. So I'm not sure, but if they did release them, you can get this specific show on this particular disc, 1971 Reverberation. Interesting, this one does not include one track from that concert, which is Blues. So I guess that record really was the first release of all 5 tracks from this particular concert. Okay, so enough about the record itself. Let's get into the tracks. And we start on side 1 with Fat Old Son. Now, this, of course, was released originally on Atom Heart Mother in 1970, and it's kind of this pastoral acoustic song from David Gilmour, which honestly, for me, was never much to write home about. It fit the ambiance of Atom Heart Mother just fine, but it wasn't really a standout moment for me. However, in this particular case, it is, in my opinion, the star of this album, number one. It's the best song on this record, in my opinion. And that, I mean, Echoes is on this record, so that's kind of a hard statement to make. But this, in my opinion, showcases a moment in time where the band was working kind of as a jam band, although that's not the moniker I would really give Pink Floyd, because I think that although a lot of the stuff sounded like jams, if you listen to a lot of the concerts, they had mapped out what they're doing, and they were doing it the same often. But this is a 15-minute version of Fat Ol' Son that, in my opinion, is some of the best work from the band that I've ever heard. Rick Wright's organ parts on this are so incredible. Really, if from the 7-minute mark on, this is one of the best Pink Floyd songs I've ever heard, and it is insane to me that this is the first time we're getting this expanded version of this tune. It is so incredible. It should have been released long ago, and it should have been what appeared on the album. And of course, they just had written it for the album and then went out and toured it, and it grew organically as they toured it. And of course, they'd already released it on the album, so what could they do? But man, this deserved to be a B-side or something, or even just put it on the record again, right? Even though it was already on Atom Heart Mother, put it on metal. It would have had a beautiful place there. Just absolutely incredible. And yeah, the synergy in the band is just insane. It's really incredible. Roger's bass sounds great. He has chops. I know a lot of people like to talk shit about Roger and whether or not he's a good bassist. Back in these early days, I respect him as a bassist. I think he's doing great. David is absolutely shredding, and Rick is almost a backbone to this entire recording. It is so incredible. You've never heard Fat Ol' Son like this, and if you haven't heard Fat Ol' Son in its entirety in this version, then you're missing a Pink Floyd gem that you won't even believe when you hear this. Absolutely incredible. That's side A. And that is followed by side 2, which they just put one of these days on side 2, which is odd because it's a very short song. It would have fit easily on side 1, but I think that's the problem, that they were kind of, well, no. Yeah, this is really hard because it's like a 3-sided record, so they had to split up the sides the best they could. This is an earlier version of One of These Days. Although not that earlier. Metal would come out a month after this exactly, I think. But it's a killer version of One of These Days. David Gilmour's slide guitar is incredible, and Rick Wright's organ is higher in the mix, so you can hear what Rick Wright is actually doing on the organ in One of These Days, which is super, super cool. So the record made a weird choice here, and it goes out of order to how they actually recorded the set live at the BBC at that night, and the record puts echoes here, which I'm going to follow the original running order of the concert instead of talking about echoes here, but that's how it is on the record. Side 3 is echoes. and side 4 is Embryo and Blues, and it should be Embryo, Echoes, and then Blues. So we'll talk about Embryo now. This is another Pink Floyd gem that was never released in the form that it is on this concert, and it is absolutely incredible. David really shines on this throughout the solo that is most of the middle of this tune. It was initially released on a Picnic sampler for their record company, so you can look up Embryo Picnic sampler and find this small version. I think they also put it on Relics, or one of those. Works, maybe it's on Works, but the version you get there is a demo, and the band was really pissed that it was released on that Picnic sampler, because they were not ready to release it. They were just barely working on it, and so in consternation, because it was released on that, they never were able to release it again. Although I would have released this extended version somewhere else, most definitely. So this is the version that is what they wanted it to be, and it's like 11 or 12 minutes long. Wow, I wonder if they edited this down on the record, because it's a lot longer than that in all the versions I've heard. Yeah, it's like 10 or 11 minutes long, and just outstanding. Great guitar through all of this. Also, Rick Wright, again, is just killing it. This, coupled with Fat Old Son, in my opinion, create 35 minutes, I think. No, that's not right. 25 minutes. A side's worth of Pink Floyd music that I guarantee you, if you're not a massive collector, will be completely new to you, and 100% worth it. 100% worth it. It will blow your mind. It's really incredible. My only complaint about it is it hasn't been remastered to as good as it can be yet, in my opinion. There's some real treble distortion, in my opinion, on the early years release. I have not heard the record. I don't know if it's another master, but again, the best I've ever heard was on that BBC Archives disc that you can find here on YouTube. Following Embryo is Echoes, and Echoes is, in my opinion, the peak, kind of the magnum opus of Pink Floyd, for me at least. Just absolutely incredible. Although one could say, careful with that axe, Eugene. But yeah, this early, if you're looking at pre-Dark Side Back, and this version of Echoes is probably my favorite. The build that leads into the second verse after the Seagulls section is incredible. And instead of using just cymbals like he does on the album version, he kicks in with full drums, and Nick Mason does, and it is absolutely outstanding. This is very much worth it. And from what I've always heard, that's the end of it, and that's true with early years as well. But they did perform one more song, and that is Blues, and it really is just them playing the blues, which is not terrible. It's frickin' David Gilmour and Rick Wright killing it, and Nick Mason and Roger Waters. I mean, it sounds great. It's not the most interesting of songs, but it's still really incredible to hear these guys just jam banding and enjoying themselves, instead of getting as kind of artistic and wrapped up in their own egos as they could get later. So I'm glad Blues is on here, although I'm starting to wonder, I wish I could hear a copy of this vinyl. If anybody has it, it's weird to me that I'm starting to wonder if they cut Embryo to 6 minutes, and then if they said Blues is 9 minutes, I'm starting to wonder if they cut Embryo down to just the beginning part and used the guitar solo for Embryo and called it Blues. Anybody that has this vinyl, if you could give this a listen and then listen to Embryo from the bootleg and let me know what this record has on it, I'd be interested in hearing that. But anyway, Blues is a good little instrumental ending to this record. Although I feel like ending with echoes to me kind of made just a little bit more sense. But who am I to turn down Floyd from a concert? No way. It's incredible. So yeah, this is a really quality sounding copy of a concert from, well, a BBC performance from 71 that is so worth your time. I feel like it's some of the best Floyd from 71 that you'll ever hear, and in my opinion is kind of the peak of that early period. Really, truly, the only thing I could say that isn't here that I really wish was is Careful with That Axe, Eugene, which to me is one of the greatest songs Floyd ever did. Just so good. I do like their second period, their Dark Side and On as well. And one day I'm sure I'll talk about probably either Wish You Were Here or Animals on this channel. But yeah, this is, in my opinion, when I sit down to listen to Floyd now, this is where I go. It's just absolutely incredible and worth your time. Give it a listen. Let me know what you think. I absolutely love it. If you hated it, let me know. If you love it, let me know. If you know what they did to Embryo on the record, let me know. Yeah, that's about all I can say about that particular release. Thank you for watching this to the end. If you liked it, please click like. If you like this kind of content, please click subscribe, because we're going to be making a lot more of it in the future. And thank you so much for watching.